Coming up on Down Under EV Adventures today, we're sort of back in the Atto 3 as I go through 5 things that I miss on the Atto 3. Welcome back to Down Under EV Adventures, everybody. How's everyone going out there? Today we're going to have a look at 5 things that I miss by not having my Atto 3 any longer. Now of course my wife still has the great green machine, and no, I'm not talking about these scales you can see on the side, the dragon scales. I'm talking about some other things which I do miss now that I've got my Volvo XC40 recharged twin. So I'm going to look at 5 different things, and I think a few of them could have been put on the Volvo XC40, not sure why not. So I'm sure you'll be interested to know. So let's get straight into it and start with number 1. And it's the stop start button. So there is no ignition switch, and I do miss having one. Not so much for preheating and cooling, because I believe you can do that with the Volvo app. However, if you want to leave the car and leave it on and locked, you can definitely do that with the BYD Atto 3, which I did quite frequently. So I'm going to have to do some more investigation with the Volvo, but certainly with the Atto 3, you can just have the car on. If you don't want to do the pre-cooling or preheating, you can just lock the car while the car's still running. Now here you can have a look at the Volvo and you can see there's no ignition switch. You just get in and you put it into gear and go. So there, that's one thing that I do miss. Right, number 2, the auto hold. Now why on earth the Volvo doesn't have this, I do not know. I believe the newer models do, but you can see here the auto hold is very easy to use on the Atto 3. Once you start the car and you move it into drive, you just press this button here. Now it will stay on. I just turned it off so I could demonstrate it here. And here's some more demonstration that I did, because I've done a complete episode on this. I'll put a link in the description. Here's some footage of it here, where I go into and explain a little bit more about how that auto hold function works. So if you don't know how it works, you can go and have a look at that, and I go into a lot more detail. But again, I'm struggled to understand why it's not on the XC40. So if you have a quick look at the Volvo again, you can see no auto hold. When I got into the car, after I bought it, I didn't even realize when I was test driving that it didn't have that feature. And yeah, I was like I said, very, very surprised. Now, number 3, the lights. So in particular, the ambient lighting, but you know, even the external lighting is excellent on the Atto 3. Not that it's not that good on the Volvo either, but certainly I feel the ambient lighting is excellent. You can see here, that's even during the daytime, the lights still show up, so they've done a fantastic job. Now, I do have some cool ambient lighting on the Volvo there, so you can see the topography. It looks pretty cool there. It looks sort of like a mountain range. So yeah, pretty nice, but really I think the Atto is superior there, just with all the different colors that you can go through and the way they've done it inside the cabin. I've always been a huge fan of it. So yeah, you can go into the settings and you can slide along there. This is from an episode that I did all about the lights, and I'll put a link in the description about that as well. So again, if you own the Atto 3 and you want to learn a little bit more, I'll put a link in it from when I had the Atto 3. Now, we're using the tablet there, and that's number 4, the tablet size. So I do miss the Atto 3 tablet. They've done a great job. It's a good size as well. And on the new Atto 3, it's even bigger than it is on my wife's Atto here, which I'm demonstrating. So my wife's is the 23 model. Now here you can see the screen on the Volvo, so much smaller. And not to say that the integration and the speed of it is not excellent, because it actually is. The Volvo one, they've done a great job as well. The software is excellent. The map system is excellent as well. So they've done a great job. You can do a lot with it, but you know, sometimes I just wish the size was a bit bigger, and perhaps even in the landscape mode might be a little bit easier to use rather than the portrait mode there that I've got. Although I must say the dash cluster here in the middle I really like, and I probably think it's a little bit better than the Atto 3 binnacle. There's a little bit more you can do with it and it's easier to use. Now we'll go to the final one, number 5, and that's the recess area that you can use for the spare tire. And you can easily put a space saver spare in just by taking out the puncture repair kit in the Atto 3. And yep, you guessed it, I did an episode on this as well. So I did that quite a while ago when I first got my Atto. I'll put a link in the description for that as well, for all the episodes that I've done, additional information on. So, if you own the Atto, there's no reason why you can't actually carry a spare in it. And I think it's a great idea, particularly if you live in Australia and travel those long distances. So yeah, you can go ahead and have a look at that. Yep, the poor old Volvo unfortunately doesn't have the space there at the back. It's partly because it's a dual motor, and the dual motor gets in the way of some of the storage space there. However, I do feel that they could engineer it. I have to put my space saver on the top there, you can see, for the time being. I am going to lift this all up one day, pull it all apart and see if I can actually get a space saver in there. I suspect I might not be able to, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. And if I'm successful, I'll do an episode on that. But certainly I feel like I really miss this space there that was on the Atto 3. So there you have it. That's 5 things I do miss. And alright, I do miss the dragon scales a little bit too. I think they look really cool. So there you have it. 5 things that I really miss about having the Atto 3. The Atto 3 is a great car, and it's not to say I don't love my Volvo, because I certainly do, and I will do an episode upcoming of 5 things that I don't miss about the Atto and that I love about the XC40. But they're both great cars, and luckily I do get to drive my wife's Atto 3 quite regularly, so I keep abreast of what's going on with it. But that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in, we really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out those episodes if you want to learn some more. Okay, take care as always on the road, and we'll see you soon with more great stuff on Down Under EV Adventures. Bye for now.